Sussex after a storm is horrible, disgusting. Like tea, hot chocolate, a public toilet is just brown and you do not want to swim in it. It was just after Storm Agnes and I really wanted to go out. So I had to use the biggest spearfishing hack available in the UK. I mean, it seems easy, but actually it's like a 6-hour drive. Got down to Cornwall, quick sleep, but I met up with Rob and we went to one of our local areas to try and get some fish. I had recently seen one of UK Spearfishing's videos where he went round diving through gullies, trying to surprise bass, so I went to try that technique, which I can't really do where I normally dive in Sussex. And Rob went off to hunt some of the gullies which had quite a strong contraflow current, which makes it often quite good fishing. So I started off diving, following the gullies, not 100% sure what I'm doing, and after 4 or 5 dives, a decent sized bass came out just underneath me. Unfortunately, I was at the end of the breath hold, starting to come up at the time, so it's a bit of a shot downwards, complete pot shot, completely missed. And then I carried on doing a couple more like that, but didn't actually see anything. And after a while, I noticed that Rob had went back to the boat, so I went to where he was just to have a little look around and see what he was looking at. I didn't know at the time if he went back to the boat out of boredom, or because there's nothing there, or because he shot something and wanted to put it in the bag. So I went for a dive there, and yeah, it's quite nice, it's quite bassy. You can see here there's 3 of them, 2 of them undersized, but the one at the back would have been okay. After a few dives there, I went back and met up with Rob again, and it turned out he was feeling a bit worse for wear, I guess, where he was, because of the high current and swell. It's a little bit choppy and, you know, just pushed him over the edge. So after that, I couldn't really continue hunting the gullies, and we decided to go to a more sedentary location, which was a little bit more protected from the elements. When we got there, I started doing a few espetos and just generally diving around the area, and then while breathing up, I noticed what I thought was a very small bass on the sand beneath me, and I thought, that's quite interesting, good to see there's something around, even if it's not exactly what I want. It's probably a good indicator that there's other fish in the area. But as I just hovered there, breathing up, it started to take an interest and slowly come up from the sand, closer and closer to me. And as it got closer and closer, it got bigger and bigger. And by the time it was maybe 4 meters away, I realised it was no monster, but it was a decent size, in-size bass. And then, first one in the bag. Very easy. Didn't have to do a thing apart from not move. That's kind of brilliant. So I went back to the boat, put that in with Rob, and then went out to the same sort of area to see if I could repeat the feat. And it turns out that I could. But because of the first fish I had missed, I put away my nice 82, which I normally use for Cornwall, and I had my little 55 gun, which I normally use for Sussex, and I'm a lot more intuitive with. So this presented a problem, because that has a maximum range from your hand of just under 5 meters, and this fish was at least 7 meters deep. There's 2 of them, and I was obviously after the bigger one. So, basically it occurred to me what I would have to do is try and close that distance before I spooked it too much. Ideally, of course, I'd have cycled round and come from the other direction, but I felt that any sort of movement would have spooked it straight away. So, as still as can be, I waited for them to come out of the weeds onto the sand patch a little bit more, lined it up, duck dived as quietly as possible, got down about 2 meters, still upside down, shooting behind me, and not the best shot, but a clean shot, a good holding shot, and that was quickly additive called back. I then started doing a bit of the gully searching around this new area, still with a 55, which might not be the best plan, but I did pick up a pollock. I saw it just cruising along the edge of the gully. It must have seen me, I can't see how it couldn't have seen me. And it's quite an easy shot. It was a reasonable size, so that also was added to the cool bag. Following that, I'd done a few espettos, seeing what was coming in, what wasn't coming in, and a small school of mullet came shooting past. And I don't know if you're aware, but especially if you're from Sussex, what you get when you visit Cornwall, they call it blue water syndrome, because you can completely misjudge how far away fish are. The amazing viz, even after a storm, makes it look like the fish are closer, but really they could be further away but a lot bigger, and I completely misjudged this one. I saw them come in. The first one was probably actually well within range. I was going for a third one, which allowed me to get the gun round, and completely missed that shot. So that wasn't great. That was about it. Obviously Rob was having a relaxing chill in the boat, so he didn't want to be out for too long, so he went back in with 3 fish to show full efforts. And when we got back, we made the fried up the bass, bit of tandoori masala on the pollock, fried that up as well, and then had that with potatoes and various other things, and it was really nice in here. 2 days later, I went out again. The viz wasn't quite as good. There's been a little bit of algae come in, I guess because it's so sunny and bright and lovely clear water, the algae started to grow. So it wasn't quite as good, but I had marked out some different locations I wanted to check out. The first one, when I got there, there's a fat seal just bobbing away between the rocks happily, so I figured, yeah, let's give that one a miss. I went for the next location I had on my list, and I thought it might be good for pollock. So I dove down nice and carefully, buried himself in the kelp, and it was good for pollock. Most of them are small. There's some big shadows in the background. I don't know if you can quite see on the video, which got me a bit excited. So rather than cheat that time, I figured I'd go up, come down again, and hopefully the second time get one of these big shadows to come in. The second time wasn't as successful. There's only smaller pollock this time. I did try to shoot one of the more medium-sized ones, but they seem to be ninjas at range. You've got to really get them close, so that was a bit of a miss. I then went back to a place where I'd been successful the day before and spent the rest of the session cruising gullies there looking for bass, hopefully trying to do as last time, find some, but the viz wasn't quite good enough to see them from the surface this day. I only saw one, and that was after cruising along, mainly looking down. I looked up at the end of the breath hold and it was just sat there, about 1.5 meters above the kelp, looking at me confused. Quite a good size on this one. I started to move my gun in order to take it, but it was too fast for me and spooked right away. After a while, a little bit disappointed with the area, I decided to call it a day, and as I got onto the boat, I saw a little head bobbing in the water. Must have been a young seal, hunting the same area. Didn't bother me, didn't notice it in there at all, but probably why it wasn't as productive as I'd hoped. But that doesn't matter because the day before had been quite a good day. And that was it. Back up to London, back to no viz, no fish. All in all, it was a fun couple of days. Thanks to Rob for coming out with me. Hopefully next time some seasickness tablets will help you out of it. And I'm looking forward to the next one, if we can get one in this year.